Hello everyone. Today we're going to be going over Froyotech versus Cozy. This is Grand Finals um, in Season 14 of Invite Sixes. Today we're looking at the meyy POV just to kind of see what it's like from the medic POV and see if there's anything that we can learn from it. So a bit of context, this is going to be map 2 of the Grand Finals. Froyotech came into the Grand Finals with the upper bracket map advantage, and then they won map 1 on Bagel. So essentially in a best of 5, that means that Cozy, Black, if they want to win the series, they need to win the next 3 maps. And of course, that's going to start with Process. So let's see if we can watch them do it. Let me get on the meyy POV. Perfect. So to start off, Cozy kind of wanted to shake some stuff up a little. So they just ran a sniper to mid, which is pretty atypical. You're not really going to see that a lot. But you can watch as Froyo like kind of hides and meyy is extremely passive. Because their whole team, they just want to play defensive. They want their sniper to be able to do work. And their sniper does get Hubita. So now they have full Uber advantage. You want to start taking that in. But when you have full Uber advantage, you don't necessarily want to use it right away. You only want to use it if you have to or if there's an opportunity for kills. You can see they're kind of just walking it in, trying to milk their Uber, play it safe, so they can hopefully get multiple points off of this. Yep, you can see no one rushed anything. They just took it nice and slow. And now they're going to bomb in, use on your demo. Meyy's probably calling out to his teammates right there that he got body blocked, so they don't overcommit for that. But that's pretty typical. Like once you milk through 1 point, your Uber advantage is going to be dwindling, so you're just going to use in, try to get through fast. They had a bit more to work with. They actually could have milked through that point as well, but I think they thought that there was an opportunity and they're completely content with playing disad here. So this is something that a lot of lower level medics don't realize. If you're playing disad, you have to be pretty passive. I mean, they're completely out right here, which maybe isn't completely necessary. But if you're not in the choke ready to leave, let me pause this real quick. If you're not in the choke ready to leave, then the potential for you actually getting caught by the Uber is pretty high. And of course, once they got Uber, they can walk back in and use that Uber to maintain their positioning with an Uber exchange. They're trying to keep their positioning around the point here, but it's not looking great as they basically ended their Uber on low ground, which is kind of why they got forced out there. And now they're just on the back foot. They're kind of bleeding players. When you're ending your Uber on low ground and the enemy basically gets that initial jump on you, you're never going to be able to like restabilize. So they're just like, all right, well, at least meyy survived. We'll have Uber for last, hopefully, and live to fight another day. All right. This is another common thing. Once you get Uber, you are free to move ahead. All right, so this was a point that actually was pretty good. Meyy went down to 5 HP, but then held the Uber. A lot of people are so focused on what their health is during the Uber, or like during a sack wave, that they'll see their health go down to 5 HP, and then they're going to use anyway. But the important distinction was one soldier had already died, and that second soldier was the one who did all the damage. So they've already sent their players. Like, if you had looked around and paused at that freeze frame when meyy was at 5 HP, there was no one else to deal damage. And that's really what you want to be looking for as medic. You want to be thinking, okay, where are the potential damage sources coming from? Because if you are able to recognize that, hey, there's no spam coming in, then you really don't have to use that Uber. Whereas if you don't know what's shooting you, then of course you're going to Uber there. So if you ever find yourself getting forced a lot to sacks like that, just try to be more aware of your surroundings and recognizing how much of a threat the threat actually is. Because just because you're low health doesn't necessarily mean that you need to use there. So now you'll see the exchange coming out from Froyotech. Mey's kind of flashing a lot. That's kind of not what you want to see there. Catface kind of fed right there, which made the Uber from Cozy a lot worse in that aspect. And they're going to lose the round because of it. Typically, when you're taking an Uber exchange, we all know you only want like 1, maybe 2 players in it. And they should have known that, of course, Furyo was going to take that exchange there because why wouldn't they? Like, they had Uber, they were down players, but their respawners were coming. So they're using that Uber to delay for their players to come, and they were able to get the jump on them. All right, so this next mid, you'll see they do not do the sniper strategy this time. They opt to play a little more aggressive, perhaps thinking maybe Froyo won't be expecting that. Maybe Froyo will expect the sniper again. And maybe we can get the jump on them. But when you're playing aggressive like that as the medic, you kind of have to make the decision if you're going to be committing with your players or if you're going to be living. And meyy never really got an opportunity to commit because there was never actually like good kills or damage for Cozy. So meyy was pretty passive that entire time and survived with Uber. As soon as the fight started going wrong, meyy dipped out of there. And it's just another thing, being able to recognize when fights are going wrong, when you should stay, when you should leave. It's an important skill for every medic. All right, now trying to pressure a little for the counter sack, but the doors were a bit too contested there, so they weren't really able to do anything. So now it's just relax and wait for them to sack again. Going around, making sure everyone's buffed. You got to be careful here of a spy timing. Looks like they're running a sniper instead. So you can see now meyy is kind of positioned where that sniper, no matter which door they peek from, meyy will be able to kind of duck around various cover and be safe. All right, they got their 2 kills. So now they're going to start pushing out. You gotta watch out for those stickies. You never want to be taking that extra damage. All right, they're a bit slow on the push out, so they actually aren't able to do anything off of it. And now, of course, Banny on the spy. I don't know if he actually came out of spawn or if he's just checking off classes, see if Cozy's running a spy of their own because they didn't do anything. But meyy here really should be expecting a spy and of course just watched Catface get stabbed. Process especially, a lot of people are going to run spies pushing into last. And as the medic, you're really the only one who can actively watch for spies. Maybe your engineer can as well. But it's not like you have to be spamming a doorway or like hard scoped on a doorway like your sniper. So maybe that's a bit on meyy, maybe not. But at the end of the day, it didn't really matter too much. Important thing to note right there, meyy went over and buffed the players coming out of spawn. If you don't know, crit heals, the concept that players that haven't taken damage heal faster. That applies to players just as they spawn. So if you buff up your players coming out of spawn, they're going to be able to get that buff a lot quicker than if it had been when they took damage. All right. Meyy maybe jumped the gun a bit on the counter pop there, but one thing you have to be cognizant of is if you decide to milk your Uber too long on those exchanges, yes, there were less than 30 seconds left, but say it was like a minute left and meyy like waited 5 seconds to use their Uber, then Froyo can just back out and just build Uber, and now they have a 5-second Uber advantage. So just something to be aware of when you're holding last. But the most important thing is you don't want to drop any players. So meyy might have been a little worried that people were gonna die, so might as well just play it safe. Like there's 30 seconds left. Like I don't want to lose this. Let's just keep everyone healthy. All right, my oh, okay, there's a pause. Didn't notice that for a second. Thought the demo was frozen for a second, but let's skip through this pause. So far there's not too much to analyze or learn. Well, okay, there's been a few things that we've learned so far. Basically, positioning when you're using your Uber, of course. And at the end of the day, those are kind of medic's two biggest skills, priorities, whatever you want to call it. That's what medic is for. You are the Uber and healing machine, and to be able to both Uber and heal, you got to stay alive, and staying alive comes from your positioning. All right, I just cut ahead. The pause just finished, and we're going to be starting round 2. I'd like to remind you that this is a must-win map for Froyo, or not for Froyo, for Cozy, the tag and our red team. So after losing a round like that, like you really don't want that to be happening. All right, meyy's kind of trying to dodge some spam, throw out some bows to the demo, buff soldiers right before they bomb, and then walk across the point with your demo. Typically one thing you might see a little bit more of is scouts being healed by the medic, but their scouts were able to get early pressure, and that meant that they were able to corral Froyo more into their side of the map in the choke area. And if people are corralled like that, then the scouts can play a bit longer leash. And now they got a drop on Hubada, so they're like, all right, let's just full send it. We're in. Let's see if they get this push. Meyy probably jumped the gun there. The problem with moments like that, it's like, yes, we dropped their medic and we should push, but you don't want to surprise your team like that. I don't know who called it. It could have been their demo that called it, since that is who meyy Ubered. It could have been meyy themselves. I don't really know, but jumping the gun like that meant that their team wasn't really buffed. They weren't actually ready to push, so when they pushed, it was a bit scrappy. And really, it just wasn't. There was no plan for the Uber. They were playing on pure like muscle memory essentially, and at Invite that might sometimes work, but in general, you always want to have a plan for your Uber, and they could have taken the 5-10 seconds to actually like to actually count it or plan for it. So meyy got stabbed there. I don't really blame meyy for dying right there. I mean, your team is on Uber disad. You don't expect the enemy to be running a spy. So that's really a heads up play from Banny right there. All right, back on the meyy cam. So now the Uber's actually evened. So as soon as meyy died, the rest of the team was like, all right, let's go force their medic. And they succeeded in doing that. So the Ubers ended up even. And now just poking and prodding, seeing if you can get anything, but you have a sniper, so you can't rush anything. It's actually 10 disad here. Probably won't make a difference. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't. You can see mey's kind of spinning around, watching for that spy, which as soon as you get backstabbed on pretty much any map, that's your one free backstab for the map. You pretty much have to be on full spy alert from then on. You know that team likes to do that, so you can't let yourself be caught by that essentially. All right, mey's just playing ultra safe, waiting for his teammates to make sure the coast is clear. And now this time, you can see they have a lot more of a plan walking in. They Uber. They're ending on the left side. And the problem here, having a sniper, is your collapse after the Uber's not going to be the greatest. But somehow, like, flank players died. And luckily that worked out for them. So now it's 1-1. So clearly, whatever they talked about during the pause, it worked. And now Froyo has a pause of their own. All right, we are back. So now Froyo, they've adjusted. They were like, hey, we lost that mid. What can we change? Like, why after we got that med pick with the spy, like what happened there? They're going to be adjusting from there. But of course, Cozy here, they were talking what went well on that last mid. So you'll see they kind of are doing the same style, poking and prodding, seeing what they can get, and then they're committing to the right side. So one thing as medic that you have to be aware of is while you're in this corner, everyone in the world is going to be wanting to bomb you because you're on like low ground. You can't really do much. So their whole team is just being like very methodical, like make sure we're keeping track of all of their players. And then they go for an exchange here, which I don't know, that was just really bad. I think that part of the thought process either might have been, hey, let's build check them. Like maybe this is Uber ad. Maybe part of it is they're down so much they feel like that they have to make something happen, which you never want to get into that mindset. As soon as you're in that mindset, you've kind of already lost the game, because you're going to be making plays not on their strategic value, but on like some, I don't know, feel that you have to win the game, and like you have to do them when in reality maybe there's a better option. All right, this time they opt to not go into the corner, just playing directly across. It's a little more direct. You can go into them. And their aggression has kind of been working. The long drawn out fights for them like don't really work all that well. But of course, right there, you lose a demo, you lose a soldier. Like, you're not going to have anyone able to spam them from walking back in the doorway, and that's why they were allowed to leave. They didn't have Uber just yet, so maybe if they did, they could have taken an exchange there. But the rollout all the way from last, I don't think they had capped the point yet. That rollout's pretty long. That was a bit spooky there. Meyy should have been expecting the soldier sack to be coming in. I'm sure it was called and everything, but giving those arrows over to your teammates, like it, you're not looking at the soldier as they come in, and if you're not looking at the enemy, how are you going to know if they're shooting you? So that was pretty much just a nothing burger Uber exchange. Neither team really benefited. Like, neither team really got too far behind. One thing I will say at the end of the fight is notice that it's not like both teams just stop fighting. When players are dying, like no matter what the situation is, there will be more openings when there are less players alive, even if it's still like 4v4 or something, and you're like, oh, they don't really have anything to push on. Well, technically, like, you have one less spam class, for example. So, like, you're not going to be able to hold those doors as well. So that's kind of like a positioning thing, something you can kind of think about. All right, there's the spy coming in. I think someone else probably called it because meyy kind of spun around right as they came in. So that was good on meyy for not dying to that. And of course, now we're back to the good old stalemate. From medic POV, like, you've killed the spy, you know, hey, all right, I have maybe like 30 seconds before they're able to get back in position, so I can breathe for a second. All right, so that was pretty spooky right there for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons was meyy looked away from the first soldier that got the 2 rockets off of them, saw a second soldier in 2. And the difference between this moment, why meyy was forced there, and that 5 HP moment, like at 5 HP, it's like, oh, you're less health. Like, you should use there more than you should use when you're like 10 HP or whatever. I mean, at that low levels, it's kind of marginal, but meyy wasn't able to see both soldiers at once. So meyy had no idea if the soldier that he wasn't looking at, if that soldier's firing a rocket, you have no idea to know if it's going to hit you, what's going to happen, or like really you don't have that spatial awareness that I had talked about before. So obviously, as a result of that, meyy was forced. But now they sent 3 people for that, so you're able to push off, and you can be pretty confident that they're not going to be able to use back into you. See, they get the force, but meyy, completely safe, just relaxing. Another thing to point out is notice how many heals that are put into the demo when doors need to be held. Because if you don't heal your demo when they are walking in, they're just going to kill your demo, which you could tell once they did kill the demo there, that hold kind of just fell apart. They were down a few too many people. Let me get off the sax cam. Down a few too many people, and they weren't able to hold it. But from meyy's POV, there wasn't really much else that he could have done. Alright, mey's keeping track of the soldier going behind, making sure you're still healing your demo. Alright, that soldier came in from behind. That was they kind of just stood in a place. They knew that people were behind them, and then they stood in a place where they would just get flanked. So they needed to make a decision. We either go forward into them, or we back up completely and kill the people behind. You can't do like this either or, like not really completely sure what you want to do theory. And that really just comes down to having a decisive main caller. And also in Invite, sometimes you're just going to be forced into bad situations like that, because at the lower levels, we have time where we're able to make that decision. Whereas at the high level, as soon as you realize, oh man, we might be surrounded, like you're likely already surrounded. But now, thankfully, you have Uber ad. So pushing out of last, you always have to be super scared. They can do a flank shove pretty easily. If you use and you don't get anything, well, now you're just on Uber disad. But pretty much the theme, you want to use as quickly as possible to minimize any potential Uber disad that you have. So now you know 20% disad, well, at least we'll get the point. And then hopefully they're able to do some leapfrog. You see meyy right there was looking at their medic, trying to spot their Uber, so they could be like, oh yeah, they do have Uber. Even though in that situation, like, you kind of know that they have it. Tracking Uber exactly can be pretty hard. So any opportunity you have to use the Solemn Vow to look at their medic, very good. Oh my god. Alright, meyy kind of just got rolled there. Yeah, sometimes that's just gonna happen. I mean, I guess like when it's a scout like that, what you basically want to be doing is balling up inside your other players. Like if there's spam coming in from demos or soldiers, you guys want to spread out as much as possible. But if it's a scout, you want to be inside your other players so they can be taking the damage. So maybe meyy walked a little too far forward, but there's not much you can do when you just get rolled like that. All right, now they're down 2. This is going to be pretty difficult. Meyy actually wasn't completely set up for the hold, not in heaven. So I'm not really sure what exactly happened with, I think it was Kev and their demo. but they died pretty quickly. I'm not sure if that was mey's fault for not having them overhealed or healed or whatever, because I was still talking about my previous point. So maybe you can go back and watch it, do some analysis. Yeah. All right, next mid. This time they're changing it up. Let's walk left. These mids like haven't really been working as good as we want. Like, just try something different. And what do you know? Their aggression, it worked. mey's just like kind of watching behind, like, hey, did we see all these players leave? It's kind of sketchy here. And then everyone's like, yeah, they left. All right, so now you'll see, oh, excuse me. Now you'll see meyy buff all the players up because it's time to sack. Especially, we just got 2 of them killed. Let's go ahead and send 2 players. I guess they call it off because they're like, hey, we still don't have the point yet. No one ever capped it. Kind of funny, but they definitely had an opportunity there to do a little bit more with the one pick they had. All right, you've sent your 2 players in. You've sent your 3 players in. Dingo dying there is not great. So that you can lose 2 people and then do an Uber exchange. But if you lose more than 2, especially if one of those players is your demo, like, you're not going to be able to hold the doors, and no matter what you try to do, you're going to be forced into a terrible Uber spot. But you see now, after they had their players back up, rolling out, that's when you can take the Uber exchange, because they know at the end of this fight, it's going to be an even 6v6 fight, assuming Trip doesn't die. All right, Catface was the one who died. And now they're like, okay, well, for a second more, we can see what we have. No, we lose Kev. Let's get out of there. That exchange was a good attempt, but it clearly did not work for us. All right, kind of crazy for meyy to be so aggressive there, down so many players. And yeah, they got, I mean, Froyo kind of exploded there, but meyy died at the same time, so I don't know. I guess it was fine. Like, you'll gladly trade your medic for the entire enemy team. All right. I'm glad we were able to see that moment where the scout came back to pick up the medic. A lot of lower levels, you're going to see the medic just walking on their own to mid or wherever. And the whole time, like, their team isn't being healed, so it's just really bad. Make sure you send a scout to pick up your medic. All right, meyy just gets owned by a soldier that they had no idea was on top of the point. Not really much to say there other than hold your doors, and they probably should have recognized that Froyo had a bit of a heal advantage, because meyy was rolling out from last, whereas Hubada was rolling out from second on their side, so their heals are going to be getting there a lot sooner than yours. All right, it's Uber ad. 20%. It's basically the smallest amount you can reliably take and then leapfrog from if it goes well. But at 80%, that's when you're like, all right, let's really figure out like how we want to take this if we do. And you can see that since they're still on the point, they did not want to take it. That is one thing that's kind of important. Even if you have 20% ad, if you're on defense, like, you don't have to take that. if you take that, there is the potential that they roll you and you end up losing, like, last. You end up just losing the game entirely. So given that they're down 4-1 on grand finals on a map they have to win, they play it safe. Oh, all right. Meyy had plenty of time to use there. I'm actually not really sure why Meyy didn't use there. I guess that's just like trust in your teammates. Like, you can't get forced there. I don't know. The first two rockets basically, like, Meyy surfed them pretty well, but was backed up into a corner, and it's like you're kind of trusting your teammates to kill that soldier before that third rocket comes off, but you can't always trust. If you're in such a bad position like that, you kind of have to use. But of course, hindsight is 2020. And of course, also, one thing we have to recognize in grand finals, the nerves are going to be incredibly high. And right there, that was just Meyy kind of being in a bad position with their back towards a door.
Alert. The control point is being captured.
All right, back on the Meyy cam. Now, I'd like to point out that we are in what's called Banny time, which basically means the win limit is it's set to 1 plus whatever the highest score is currently. So this highest score currently is 4 rounds, so that means that the win limit is set to 5. So blue, Froyotech, they have to win 1 more round, whereas red, Cozy, they have to win 4 more rounds and get to that 5. So we'll see if they're able to do it. All right, one thing you want to be careful of here, as Meyy, you want to be healing your teammates so that you don't lose the round, but at the same time, you cannot be so aggressive that you just die, because you have an Uber advantage and you want to be able to use that. Now you can see they're going IT. That's kind of like a, we for sure want to use through. We want to take this Uber fast. We want to get kills, because there's pretty much no chance that you're milking through IT. And Meyy did a good job not backing up into the stickies there. Like, recognized you don't immediately have to leave, you're safe. Of course, now Meyy's kind of in the sad zone. You don't have scout speed when you're leaving. It's not gonna go well. All right, so thankfully they were able to kill Hubida. So you have a 10% ad. You're not going to be able to use that. Don't try to use it. You're down. You're on defense. Like, just play it even. Figure out how can we get a counter sack that works well for us. Of note, make sure you're building on these moments. Make sure you're aware of potential spy timings. People love that. As soon as it's going evens, they might right away run spy or sniper. So just be ready for it. Like, have your teammate be calling for it, or like spotting for it, I guess I should say. And watch out for those soldier sacks. Wow, they... Okay. So Froyo, they were on crits, I believe. So if you're the medic and you hear like, oh, they crits, you can just right click Meyy was kind of crazy for walking out there. Uh, they knew that the demo was there. That's a really unfortunate death.
Alert. Our control point is being captured.
I guess it's not the craziest death because you hear your teammates fighting that demo and you don't think he's crazy enough to not det his stickies that entire time, but I don't know. I'm always of the opinion to play things slow, play things safe, very methodically. But of course, in Invite, you can't really do that. Now they're rapping. I have no idea what the plan was here. Meyy abandoned his teammates. It was definitely purposeful. I don't know why they didn't think that fight on second could go in their favor. I feel like with heals, there was the potential there, but I don't know. Maybe there was some comm I was missing. Something like went horribly wrong that I missed. But I probably would have committed there. And then probably would have like died. One thing to note there, they saw the demo IT leaving IT. So Meyy walked around the left side, you know, like that's the least likely potential spot for stickies. I don't know if the demo had called, if it was called that they had det their stickies or not. But just something to note, recognize where their demo is looking at because they're probably watching a trap. All right, and now they've gotten a pick, so that's one less spam class. So what I said earlier, if they're down a spam class, that gives an opportunity for space. All right, soldier comes in. Meyy puts on the jukes, putting on the works for them. Very good movement from Meyy right there, not letting any of those rockets hit. Kind of what you call a masterclass. Notice this time, it is a single person in the exchange until like the very end. Their Uber went better because of that. Another master class in movement. This might be a little sketchy. Wow. All right, Meyy. All right. That was a very good segment. Especially when you're able to dodge soldiers that are above you that you cannot see. Let's be like straight. You don't want that to be a situation you are put in, but given that situation, the ability to come out alive from it is, it shows what a great player Meyy is. All right, buffing up everyone right before the push, and then using in right as you hit 100. Flashing the scout right as they're getting bombed by the soldier, preventing them from taking damage. And now it's just like, don't let your players die. Your demo kind of dies there, but demo towards the end of a fight like that, not as important as a scout. A lot of people, like, yeah, Meyy tried to save the demo right there, and that's perfectly fine, but heal priorities on the end of a fight like there, hit scan classes are always going to be better than pretty much every class. So, in general, heal your scouts at the end of fights like that. All right, the next mid, pretty straightforward so far. They're just changing it up. They're running the sniper again, actually. So that explains why they're just playing across like really passively. And they end up getting a kill, and Froyo's like, yeah, we want none of this. So now you have a sniper. Now you can just pressure off of that, and you'll have a lot of space from it. One thing to note, standing in the choke like this, a lot of soldiers like to high bomb up top and just land on you as the medic and do a sync rocket on you. In Invite, your teammates that are standing like over by Al Qaeda and like kind of peeking, they will be able to see that soldier bombing and call it. At lower levels, your teammates might not always do that. So just be aware that you can get sync bombed in that positioning. All right, meyy chose to duck into IT there, which I don't know. You'd kind of lose all of your ability to surf when you do that. I think he thought maybe he could have like, the soldier would never expect him to dunk his head into IT like that. It's just like, oh yeah, he's just gonna back up normally. So let me like do a little like stutter step into IT or something. I don't know. As medics, we all have those moments where we're like, yeah, I completely like outplay this guy with my movement. A lot of the times you're not gonna outplay them, but when you do, you're like, gosh, I'm so smart. So that's why meyy did that, because he just wanted to feel smarter, probably. All right, now they take their 20% Uber ad. I don't know why they decided to take a soldier into this one. Maybe the sentry on the last one had given them a little too much work. Yeah, okay. Meyy just kill binds there, which was good. And maybe it looks like they thought like their scout could come in and get cap time like after, like from the space created by the soldier in the demo, but I don't know. We all saw it did not work. All right. Pretty classic disad hold. They just use in, and you guys are out of there. But now you're down to, on your last like super sketchy buff your player that is a not technically a respawner but resupplier. And now meyy unfortunately not on the power jack, but team needs the extra damage, and it worked out. I don't know if the pyro ended up being more important than like heals onto your demo or like scout or a soldier. I don't think they had a scout alive. I think maybe meyy thought that that situation was lost, and when you're down that bad, sure, switch to pyro. Just recognize you're losing whatever Uber you have built up. So what could have been a small Uber ad here, probably not pushable. If meyy had stayed on medic, ends up being just an even Uber situation. All right, maybe they think they could have thought that there was a little more disad than they did. But typically where I like to play on even Ubers is this like ramp leading up to the point. You can see mey's kind of going there now. Maybe they think there's like a spy or a sniper. But I like to have a bit more high ground. That soldier should not be able to get into through IT like that deep. Kind of caught meyy by surprise. At least it looked like it. Maybe it was called. Oh, spooky. Get out of there. And you lost too. Okay, they might be screwed here. Oh, why are you still fighting this? They're crazy. That's one thing that's really hard to understand about invite players and their skill is that they are able to fight for every inch. Like my team, we definitely would have just left there. But invite players, they're able to hold their ground. They're so technically skilled that every inch of space is like a battle. All right, they recognized right there that they don't really have all that much going for them, so they chill. Froyo tries to play their slight Uber ad. It clearly does not work for them. But one thing I wanted to note, at least on my screen, I saw the soldier high bombing in. I believe it was a soldier. That was right as meyy turned to look at the arrow, like to arrow their soldier. So it was a little spooky in that situation, knowing that that was coming and being out on your arrows. Typically, if you see like a moment like that where players are coming in on you, you can take, like, you don't want to be on your arrows in that situation because if you're arrowing someone, you're not able to Uber. So if you're getting bombed, keep your medigun out. All right. Now you have full Uber ad. All your players are kind of like rolling out. Like you have a moment, you can just relax. You'll be able to milk it into second and take it into last. Like just make sure no soldier bomb comes through. Make sure there's like no like crazy gremlin. meyy probably should have been a little bit more passive towards like Al Qaeda there, so you can actually look forward rather than just being on like low ground, but it's fine. And invite you have your teammates that can call things for you. All right, you can see that meyy isn't really fully committing here until it's clear that the battle is like a lot safer. So that's one thing to note as medic. Like, don't overcommit to a fight if you don't know for sure it's a winnable fight. And as soon as you notice it is winnable, then you can commit further forward. All right, we'll see what happens again this mid. They are on the sniper again, so they'll be playing across, play a little bit passive. A headshot comes out right away actually, so Froyo's probably just like the previous mid. Looks like they're giving it up again. And immediately you'll see that Cozy here trying to pressure with your sniper, but of course your scout is capping. Like you don't have anyone that's able to peek with you. And right there, if you rewind the video, you'll see Banny, the soldier. He actually did the sync bomb combined with Logan, the demo's damage. And that kind of stuff is going to happen to you as medic, walking through that point a lot, that choke point. So it's a good opportunity seeing it happen to someone else from your medic's POV. And of course, meyy, I guess, just was not expecting the counter sack there. Like, you got to be better about that. I get that they were trying to hold the doorway, but at a certain point, like, process choke, a soldier's just going to be able to rocket jump through there. You're not going to be able to hold it. Maybe they were trying to take, like, a pocket soldier exchange, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of those really, unless like you know that their soldiers are dead. Like in a 4v4 situation, maybe something like that. I don't know. Play around with it. See what happens for you. Just maybe not in grand finals. All right, so it's not looking great for Cozy. They're kind of on the back foot here. They're on their last. They're down around. You have to win 2 more. You had some momentum going. Of course, now Trip and Catface just kind of explode. So as the medic here, you got to be ready to take that exchange. But at the same time, you can't be too far forward that you're going to be the recipient of a sack opportunity. So you can see Mey's just like, I'm playing super safe. Here the exchange comes out. You use second, so you can actually afford a little bit of flashing here. And you milked a bit more. So, oh, what a surf. You milked a bit more, so your Uber is a little bit better. So if you know your Uber is going to be better, then you can go ahead and flash there. It's okay. It's only when you're on the defensive end, aka Froyo, they were down players, they were taking the Uber. If you're Ubering first there, like, you don't want to be flashing. All right, so you have Uber advantage now. If you're Mey, you're down your soldier, so an opportunity comes here where you don't necessarily have to use. Not using on your demo when he bombs with 2 stickies, a little questionable. 2 stickies does a ton of damage. So not the decision I would have made, but that's the decision that they did make. Also, not being far back in the choke, Mey probably should have gotten punished right there, but was lucky not to. One thing with Mey that I've noticed a lot, actually, especially with that soldier bomb out there, is his ability to react to... Okay, well, not right there. React to moments where he needs to surf, like, very quickly. Like, that soldier came, and very suddenly, Mey was in a position where he could surf the rocket. He was able to react in time. That really just comes down to, 1, reaction time, but 2, like, situational awareness. Yeah, you just gotta practice it. All right, it's 4-4 going into the last round. Remember what I said about the banny time. The teams have to have 5 rounds to win this. So whoever takes this next round, they're the winner. And like I said, Cozy has to win this. They go down 3. You go down 3, you go down 4. Mey is out of there. You're just running. The only saving grace of this round is if you keep your Uber. And they are going to be hot on your tail. You hear the demo planting stickies. Buff up all of your players. Be ultra safe. There could be a player in heaven. There could be... All right, they had a soldier check heaven, but now you have Uber advantage pushing out of your last. Remember, pushing out of your last is scary. They're playing it safe. They're checking every door, every corner. They get 2 kills, a demo and a soldier. So you're going to be able to milk your Uber into mid. They are able to take this momentum, and they should at least be able to get to second, assuming the soldier doesn't get anything. They get another soldier. The demo is still dead. Yes, the demo is going to spawn on second. But if you are fast, like they are going right now, the demo just spawned. They take that Uber in. Are they able to get any kills? They do get Hubada when he's at 90%. And now you're just trying to keep Mey alive. Unfortunately, they don't. Mey dropped down to the low ground there. They should have stayed on the point, probably keep some high ground because you don't have enough of your Uber to actually back up as much as you want to. And what could have been an amazing push from them ends up being disastrous as their entire team wipes. But it's fine. You're only down 30% Uber. That's not actually that much. You just can't die to their Uber. You can't die to their Uber, and you can't let them milk. You have to force them to use here, and then you need a very, very fast recommit. Alright. I like to play by one here. It's the most safe doorway. Sometimes you'll play by two, but no, I like playing by one specifically for this. What I'm hoping they're doing is rotate into lobby. They need to start rotating now because you need to use this Uber to stop the point, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing. Bringing it out. Notice that they stopped them from capping the point. Mey's looking for people to flash, but Dingo had committed to the point, and that's perfectly fine. Now you're only down 20%. That's the how I said that 30% wasn't that much. It's because each consecutive leapfrog, like that Uber advantage is going to get, like the gap is going to shrink. Yeah. So that's how you're like playing that as medic. You have to be using those Ubers as soon as you get them. Because the longer you're holding that Uber, they're going to be building Uber even more. So like if you take an extra 10 seconds to before you use your Uber after hitting 100%, well, now after your Uber, they have a 25% higher Uber advantage than if you had just used before those 10 seconds. That's why it's so important to track those things. It's so important for lower level players to start planning how you're going to be taking these Ubers. Like, have your playbooks, have everyone know what the plan is. Talk about it in demo reviews. Talk about it in your scrims and kind of go from there. This is potentially disastrous. Looks like it ends up working fine thanks. Oh wait. Meyy died. Oh no. Okay, so that's incredibly disastrous. You're down around on your last. Under no circumstances as Meyy can you die there. I don't know if the sentry was being moved or what was happening, but Meyy needed to be playing by the sentry, or at the very least playing by like his teammates. Like now everything is on the line. All of the work you've done throughout the entire night, it all comes down to this hold. And will they be able to hold it? Let's find out. Uber comes in on the left side. They stay on the right while the Uber's happening, and then when Froyo's crossing over, that's when they rotate. You're staying away from them during the Uber duration. There's a player in heaven. That's going to happen. They end up getting kills, and they do end up holding it, and they live to fight another day. And now, if you're fast about it, make sure you're clearing every corner. You don't want any gremlins. You don't want any traps. Like, just play it safe. You have your Uber ad. You'll be able to take it into them, into mid. You'll be able to win. They Uber in, avoid the sniper, and they get nothing for it. And now you know they are coming back in with Uber. You cannot be playing this aggressive. You have to be ready to leave. Meyy wants to be ready to leave, but the rest of the team wants to fight. But unfortunately, it's not working. And because the rest of the team was so aggressive when Meyy was playing disad, like, yes, they were sacking, trying to force, but you're not going to be able to do it if it's not your whole team committed to it. And your whole team needs to be committing to it from the same angle. If it's playing defensively or if it's playing aggressively, which of course, since it was disad, you should be playing defensively. Now it's super spooky, trying to get the last bits of heals out. You're down 2 players, but the blue team Froyotech, they are very weak. Mei's just kind of wandering around looking for who to heal, and they end up losing it. And that goes destroying Cozy's hopes of winning season 14. But they did put up a good fight at the end there. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you were able to understand some like medic fundamentals. I always find that watching invite POVs, no matter what class you are, like you can even watch like the other classes POVs. It can be an incredible learning experience. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. If you have anything, yeah, just feel free to comment, and have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for watching.